You know, normally towards the end of any conference, you start getting a little fatigued. I think I'm more energized now than I have been this whole time. This morning has been amazing. So welcome back to the final session of the 2025 Summit. In this presentation, we will hear from a panel of peers and family partners who will share how lived experience can transform behavioral health and justice system responses. Led by moderator Doug Smith, panelists Sommer Alexander, Melissa Porter, and Angie Tyler will share how their work fosters trust, bridges service gaps, and promotes recovery for individuals and families navigating both systems. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this session. Thank you for everyone online for being part of this. As we said earlier, this is a continuation of the great work that Chelsea and David did in laying the foundation, looking at the promise. So much of what they said is truly backed by research. So fantastic. And I saw hands go up that people said, you know, I know what peers do. Let me just ask, who here actually is a certified peer or family partner? Yes. Awesome. I'm going to ask after this session, if we could all go over to the JSMH banner, I'd love to get a photo of everyone here who is trained as a peer, works as a peer, or family partner, because y'all are amazing. We'd love to do that. As I said, so we're gonna take that foundation and we're gonna do some stuff with it. So one of the core foundations of peer services is the use of our lived experience, because it gives us such enormous credibility when we're working with individuals. And I'm not going to share much of my own lived experience. I'll just say that I am a huge fan of peer services. We are in our 4th year in Texas of developing peer leaders so that they can go and create their own organizations. They can be effective within systems to expand the use of peers to do brilliant things. And the people that we've worked with have just done they've made extraordinary achievements in peer and family partner services, expanding in Health and Human Services Department, getting funding to do transitional work with kids coming out of foster care. I can just go on. And the work that peers do in the justice system is phenomenal. And the promise of having family partners as part of the work, including in juvenile systems, is just, the promise is there. We barely even scratched the surface. So that's what we're gonna do today. I myself have lived experience, co-occurring mental health and substance use challenge and incarceration. So I did 6 years in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice just because of untreated mental health and substance use challenges and the chaos that ensued from there. That's all I'm going to say about my story. You could also read my story in The Path of Rocks and Thorns, Leadership Lessons from a Prison Cell, a book I just wrote. There's the pictures there. 4.9 review on Amazon. Get it today.
Good job.
Shameless plug. So today first thing we're gonna do is let's lean into lived experience. So you're gonna hear some incredible lived experience. We're gonna do that. And then we're going to pause, and we're going to invite you to consider your own lived experience. Then we're going to get into, all right, let's bring this alive. This is how we're actually working really effectively within justice systems, and we're going to hint at what else you could do. So with that, I want to invite Sommer Alexander to come up. I'm actually not going to introduce her because guess what? She's going to give her lived experience. So Sommer.
Good morning, everyone. So I am Sommer Alexander. I am from Austin, Texas. I am not only system impacted, I have been a survivor of addiction. I've been a survivor of severe trauma and a violent crime. I became present in this work because in 2018, after being a victim of a violent crime and trying to overcome addiction and be successful after incarceration, I realized that we had a very faulty system, a system that was not in any way, form, or fashion supportive of people that were coming back home. And I knew at that moment that this was where I needed to be because I was having to navigate these systems by myself without any resources, without any peer support, with nothing. And let me emphasize to you that I ended up being unhoused after getting out of being in a carceral system, going and enrolling myself in college, and trying to pursue what I knew were the steps that were supposed to be taken to be successful and to change the narrative and the path that I was on. The problem is that I became unhoused and once again was facing all of the collateral consequences and barriers that people face, unfortunately, still sometimes to this day because of the systems that are not put in place to help support individuals. So along that path, what happened was I found a passion, a very, very deep-rooted passion to help other people get through this in a way that didn't leave them badgered. And so now I work at Texas Harm Reduction as a justice-involved reentry peer support specialist, in addition to also being a Texas chapter coordinator for a national organization that fights for policy change in regards to clean slate. Over the course of me being involved in this work, what I can tell you is there's a huge difference and light in people's eyes that changes when you start working with them and they know that you're not just there based off of your education. You're there because you have lived experience. You've navigated these problems. So the amount of respect and hope that you actually put in someone is far different. And I can tell you firsthand that by working with individuals and allowing peer support to actually be a form of support within your organization, you're opening up a new chapter and the opportunities for lives to be expanded in ways that they never have. Individuals don't come home with the intention of going back into a carceral system. That's just not a real thing. The problem is that they face barriers that they can't get past. And to be exact, it's almost 1,600 collateral consequences that a Texan citizen faces. And so that can be very overwhelming for people. And so for me, I got through those, but that's a rarity. And without peer support, I can tell you that where we are at with the numbers of people that are incarcerated across this country, we have a very huge fight if we do not incorporate peer support to help these people get through it.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And I will say that we, in developing this session, like we did look, there's a lot of great peers. We did scan the landscape of who's doing really interesting work. So this was a very carefully selected panel, but I'll just kind of emphasize peers are doing amazing work across the state. So I'm very excited to bring up, sorry, Sommer, I didn't have your incredible bio up there.
No, it's okay. I just, the timer threw me off.
Oh, okay, sounds good.
I didn't know I had left.
I'm very happy to bring up Melissa Porter.
Good morning, everyone. I, too, am a woman with lived experience. And today, I am a woman living a blessed life in recovery. My journey started at the age of 9 years old, and I experienced a lot of sexual trauma. By the age of 11, I was already using substance use, alcohol. I was huffing glue, gas, paint, whatever would take the pain away, I was indulging in. I was living as a grown woman at the age of 11. So for me, I cycled the system. I came from the system, and I was going in and out of the system. I didn't have the family support because at that point I was trafficked, and I was taught how to be a runner. So I ran from state to state, just meeting people and trying to survive. Fast forward, I I was introduced after getting out of the system at one point in my life to a Project Rio program. And in that program, I was given the support with individuals that gave me life skills, that taught me how to live for the young woman that I was as an emerging adult at that time. I was introduced to the 12-step program with AA, and I was given an opportunity to be a citizen in the state of Texas, right? Today, I am 26 years, September 1st, clean and sober. Thank you. I currently work in the judicial system, and I am a case manager. I am a peer support specialist. I am a mental health peer specialist and a peer supervision specialist as well. I show our people that it works. Recovery does work, and we do recover. Today, I work in several programs through our specialty courts in Harris County. I work in our in-reach jail programs at the Harris County Jail Systems. I also work with probation, parole, and CPS. I place our people in what is fit for them. I walk alongside them for up to 6 months, while our coaches walk alongside them for up to 18 months outside of treatments. I advocate, I support, and I show our people that their life matters. It's not about a number, it's not the SPIN number, it's not the TDC number, it's not the case number, it's about their life. And today, that's what is meaningful for me. I got into this field after losing an adult child to suicide. And for many years, I thought my purpose was working in the medical system, and I was doing home health and hospice. After losing my adult daughter at the age of 20, God placed it in my heart as I was homeless in 2016, 2017, to revisit my life differently. And so today, I couldn't save my own daughter, but I helped save many other children, which are children to me.
Wow. Y'all are amazing. But y'all notice that we have life experiences that form the foundation for the work that we do. And some of it is really catastrophic life experience, but we don't stop there. Right, there's decisions we make. We use that experience to actually help others, and Melissa illustrated that so powerfully. So I'm really excited to bring up our next, I hate doing panels, so I'm not gonna call you a panelist. Our next amazing person, Angie Tyler. I knew Angie Tyler from the Leadership Development Program that we did with peers and family partners. And again, I'm not gonna introduce her, she's gonna introduce herself.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Where are my certified family partners? Whoa, okay, let's go. My name is Angie Tyler. I am a bilingual certified family partner in Austin. I currently work with the FEP program, first episode of psychosis. My background is I used to be a probation officer. I used to be a supervisor for IDD services, and I also worked with homeless foster youth who were about to age out of care. I also served on the Children's Partnership Board. When I think about my background, I think about my son, who my husband and I adopted from CPS at age 15. I think about my background, and I think none of that served me. because while I can be giving out information about where to find the resources and where community resources and how to navigate the court systems for families, when it hits home, it's a little different. My son, whose biological mother was diagnosed with schizophrenia and is serving 2 life sentences in prison. At age 17 is when I began to notice a lot of changes. He was going through quite a significant amount of symptoms. So while I navigated services for my son and for our family, I began to reach out to Child Protective Services. The calls went unanswered. I felt that as soon as you signed that paper, that was it. So we came at a crossroad. He turned 18, and it just so happened that he was in and out of jail at the time. He decided that he wanted to find his biological family, and he did. However, when he moved to a different city, all of his family members basically kicked him out. So again, he was in and out of jail, subsequently leading him to a 36-year prison sentence for murder. I want you to think about a possibility of having certified family partners within the judicial system. Because while I have that background, I just want you to think about the families that are in front of the courts, who are listening to all of these acronyms, who every acronym is being thrown at them. And there's no one there to let them know or to help them navigate through the system. And it becomes frightening. Lucky for me, I understood that because I spent quite a few years as a probation officer. Imagine the possibility of having a C.F.P. working with each family, to knock on those doors and wonder why kids aren't going to school. Imagine having those conversations with families. Imagine educating these families to have healthier boundaries, healthier relationships with their kids. So just for today, let me move you. Every family comes with a lot of challenges. I wake up every day existing for these families and navigating and walking with them through their journey. And I am the family partner that I needed for these families because I don't want them to feel the way I felt when no phone call was answered. So every family comes with challenges. Families whose loved ones have diagnoses. Every day is an opportunity to champion these brilliant challenges. Every challenge is brilliant. But as peers and CFPs, so are we. Thank you.
Right. So, power of lived experience, you've heard it, the decisions they've made and how that forms the basis for the work that they do. So, I want to take it up a notch here. Everyone actually has lived experience. Everyone here has lived experience that makes you incredibly effective and credible in the work that you do. So I do sequential intercept model mapping across the state on contract with the Judicial Commission, and I meet judges who literally stay up at night because they've got someone sitting in a jail cell for 12 months, 18 months, and that they know that they're going to time out and come right back into the jail and do it all over again. I know judges staying up at night. I know I've talked to juvenile probation chiefs that when I interview them, tears come through to their eyes. I've talked to people to police officers who have seen people overdose, who have seen, everyone here has life experience. And so I want you to just take a moment and appreciate that and recognize that that lived experience is also one of your greatest assets. And you can apply it anywhere. If you are supervising a team of probation officers, it is those key life experiences, those turning points, those even the failures that have made you an even better probation chief. It's those moments when you were a judge and gave a chance to someone and saw them fail or even die. Those are key life experiences. So just take a moment to appreciate that, the experience that each of you have. So because you use that in the work that you do. And I might even just give people a moment, if you want to maybe just take a moment to think about that. What was that key turning point for you that made you really more effective at the work you do? That shifted your life, that shifted your career. All of you have those experiences. And certified peers and family partners, they just use that experience. They use it expertly. And you can too. So appreciate your own life experience. Maybe even write some of it down. If you are online, maybe write into the chat, like, what's that experience that I had that shifted the direction of my life and how I do the work that I do. And now we're going to go into the next phase. The next phase, we are going to bring this even more alive. So these remarkable guests, they are actually working in really meaningful and interesting ways within the justice system. And so they're going to talk about the work that they do, what sets it apart, the unique features of that work. And Angie, of course, is going to be the anchor to really inspire our imagination of how we get more family partners into the work. So I'm going to turn it over to Sommer to talk about the wonderful work she does.
Hello again, everyone. So, as I mentioned before, I work for Texas Harm Reduction Alliance in Austin, Texas, as well as a national organization called Time Done. So with Texas Harm Reduction, what I do every single week is twice a week. I go out to the Travis County Correctional Complex and I facilitate a class. The first portion of that class focuses on overdose awareness and understanding the dangers of fentanyl and how that's really impacting our community, especially for someone who, like myself, has in the past suffered with addiction. I try to focus very hard and let them know the dangers that they are truly facing when they step out into the world now, because this is not the same climate it was many years ago. So I try to be completely transparent with them and not only educate them on that, but also give them the tools that if they find themselves in a situation where somebody is overdosing, they can try and reverse that. The second portion of that class is, it does change from time to time, but typically it is about post-conviction poverty and really empowering them with the understanding of what that means and why credit for themselves is a vital tool that they need to have to overcome the systematic barriers that they're going to face. In addition to that, I also facilitate with the courts. So that looks like if I have a peer that is currently still going through the legal process, if they're needing me to advocate, or if they're having issues with, let's say, their attorney, or even the manner that they found themselves in that position with that charge. I go to the courts, I speak with the judge, I speak with their attorney, and we make things mesh in a way that is conducive with their success, that doesn't just necessarily sentence them back into a carceral system. As somebody who's system impacted, I can say firsthand, that does not fix the problem. What that does is causes more trauma. And so at Texas Harm Reduction, that's what I focus on, and I find that it's a very, very, very much needed resource that our peers need, but we should all be coming together is what I'm finding more and more. Because by connecting these missing links together, people are falling between the cracks. Whether it's probation, whether it's back into their addiction, whether it's housing, there's limitless ways that people are falling between these cracks. And so, kind of as Angie had mentioned, if you can imagine, right? If we were able to work within these systems and all work together, we could really see some change here and some growth. Not only just in our community, but with the people we love. Because as Doug mentioned, everybody in this room, one way or another, is either directly or indirectly system impacted. With time done, I focus more on building community. I focus on making sure that Texas currently, right now, is aware of what expungement and non-disclosure looks like. We are extremely backdated in what, well, if you compare basically to like California or New York, there are bills that have already been passed, HB 731 in California. 2 million people over the last 2 years have been relieved because they no longer, when they go to get a house or a job, it doesn't show up. So now they can move past that barrier. And so I really try to promote that to be a thing here in Texas, because right now we have 10 million people that are system impacted. And that's huge when you think about the number of there being 88 million across this country, and there's 50 states. I'm not a mathematician, so I'll let y'all do that, but I think you can see that we have a huge, huge stake in this. And so that's what I do, and I am very passionate about understanding that if Texas does not really take a step in this and really progressively move forward to make change happen, we're going to sit here and be stagnant. We're going to continue to see loved ones we really want to see change continue to go down this rabbit hole, because it's never ending. So thank you.
I told all our guests that we only have 5 minutes apiece, and I'm timing them, and they've all come in under time. So what I told them I would literally get up and but because we bought a little extra time, I'd love for you to just start jotting down some questions for the end, since we are making up extra time. So we really, really want to lean into your questions, and we'll make time for that. But let's bring Melissa up.
Okay, so as I mentioned before, I do work in the criminal justice arena, and there we go. And I am currently employed with Houston Recovery Center here in Harris County. I am a case manager for the criminal justice programs. Although I am a recovery coach as well, I still wear many hats for Houston Recovery Center. I am also a driver when they need one. So I do a lot of transporting, coaching, and case management. Currently, the main court I work with is RIT Court, which is Responsive Intervention for Change Court, and those are low felony cases, showing the peers that if they want to, they can get clean and sober and live self-sufficient lives, but it's their call, not my call. Working with the coaches that meet with them, whether it's in custody or in the courtroom, to see what's the outcome you want on this case. Making sure that we support them the best way that we can. Then we meet up as a team. We talk with the attorneys, we talk with the DAs, and we approach the judges. The judge makes the ultimate decision, but the time vested needs to be from that peer, not us. So the other court system that I work with is Star Drug Court, and that's Success Through Addiction, Recovery, and Drug Court. We have 2 coaches in that court that work with those peers. And again, I team up with them in the support. If that court calls on me, I'm there to advocate on that peer along with the attorney. The other court we have is felony mental health court. I am periodically called for felony mental health court because I am a woman that is dual diagnosed. So I have lived experience in meeting those individuals in their crisis. I'm able to de-escalate situations and help them to understand what mental health is and how important it is to stay on our medication so that we can continue life on life's terms. Right now, we have 9 programs in the jail system, Harris County Sheriff's Office. So we have 3 coaches that go into the tanks and do programming groups with these tanks. So I'm called at times to go do assessments for individuals that are incarcerated to see if they meet requirement to be able to go into treatment, if they're homeless, to figure out a safe plan, if they need mental health medication, to make connection with Harris Health so that we can get them on their medication while they are incarcerated. The other programs that I work with is probation and parole and CPS. If any of those individual entities call on me and we work with their client, we advocate for them, we meet them, and we support them. We walk alongside these individuals, showing them that they too can live self-sufficient lives as I do today. I have picked up several felony courts with judges that have heard about the programming we do. And so I'm referred a lot to outside felony courts. And if those judges or DAs call on me, I go to those courts and meet with their defendants. And I see what best fits for that defendant instead of incarceration or a lockdown program. There's a long wait for our lockdown programs in the Atascocita. I know that the last that I know, it was a 2-month wait for a 4 to 6 month program. And so instantly you're looking at 8 months to a year being away from family. And half the time when an individual gets incarcerated, they're not honest and they don't get mental health medication. And so it ends up spiraling that individual to more trauma, more mental health, and we end up losing our people because they don't have a voice, they don't have an advocate, they don't have that support. Families can't reach people on a phone, people don't answer their emails. It becomes really cycling, and it's sad.
She's amazing. I'm rude, I know. I'm like, 5 minutes apiece, that's what we have. Couple of things I just wanted to, I noted, because when I put an exclamation point, this is Houston Recovery Center, right? So it's an outside agency actually serving the courts and working across systems. You get that? Mental health systems, actually creating relationships with the jail administrator and the sheriff, working with the courts, right? So this is an outside agency, and that way the peers actually get the supervision, support, continuing education they need while also serving the community. And if you're in a smaller county, you're wondering, okay, we don't have like a recovery community organizations. What I want to encourage you to do is either contact one of them, and also particularly Chelsea, who is one of the leads of the new peer association, Texas Peer Professionals, and they can provide some technical support as you think that through. I'm going to turn it over to Angie.
Hello again. Okay, so what do? As I mentioned earlier, I am a certified bilingual family partner. I have been working as a family partner for 9 years now. The program that I work for is integral care with the first episode of psychosis team. It's called RAISE. That stands for Recovery After First Schizophrenia Episode. As a family partner with this team, I'm just really thankful to be a part of the engagement process. What is that? The engagement process is when we have referrals coming to us from hospitals or our helpline. It's important for me to go out and knock on that door because the person that is answering is probably going to be a parent if the potential client is a minor, or if the client is an adult still living with their parents, then they want to tell you everything that's been going on. They're in crisis mode. So I am the face that they see when they open the door. It's important that I make that connection from the get-go because that is going to allow them to share their story. My main purpose for working with families is to help them find their voice. They have a story. The story that their loved one belongs to them, but the story that a mother or a parent has, that's their own story. So I help them find their voice, help them share their story. We share a caseload, so we have case staffings twice a week. A family partner is being represented at that table. Why is that important? Because the family are the eyes and ears of the person's treatment. And while a peer can go and meet with the individual and say, how was your weekend? It was fantastic. I had a lot of fun. I went to see my friends. When you ask a family, how was your weekend? My daughter, my son, punched a hole in the wall, stole my keys, took my car, did not come home. So we don't deny that the individual had fun that weekend, but the perception, the family will tell you, will share things that are a little different. So when I sit at that table, this is what they report. However, here's the family voice. Let me tell you what's going on at home. I'm also involved in school meetings if the individual is a minor. So I help families sit there and navigate the school system. What is a 504? What does that mean? What are accommodations? There's so much information, once again, being thrown at them. So I am able to sit with the family and say, okay, here are your parents' rights. Here's the type of accommodations that that your son or daughter is needing. This is what it means. I connect families to community resources like NAMI because oftentimes they need that individual therapy. They need to be around other families that are going through the same or similar situations. Above all, I advocate, strongly and passionately advocate on the daily basis for my families, every day. And lastly, and this is probably one of the most powerful ones, I do outreach. And I go out into the community and educate people like you in what we do and why certified family partners are important and how we can be important in your agency. Thank you.
It is my mission in life to see family partners in every single juvenile services department. Just putting that out there in case you're considering it. Here's some snaps, that's great. So we did make time for questions. So I'd love for people to think about this for a moment. All right, so a few questions for you to consider. How does this spark your imagination? Are there possibilities this opens up for you in the work that you're doing as an important justice stakeholder? What are some modest early steps you can take? Looking for grants, discussing this with your colleagues, discussing with one of these experts here, or Chelsea, or David, or Leah, who's up front and an amazing family partner, about, hey, what is possible here? So we'd love to get folks into that imagining space of what's possible, even in small rural counties. And I want to invite your questions. So consider that. And I'd love for folks to go to the mic. If you do go to the mic, you're going to get a free bookmark from me. That's right.
I can't stand it.
Thank you guys for sharing your stories. Curious about, for people who are starting from scratch, talking points to gather momentum and gain interest. How do you measure success? What would you use to try to convince leadership and decision makers that this is an important part for your community?
Who wants to grab it?
I didn't quite hear the question.
Okay, Chris, so we didn't quite hear.
Talking points that you feel would be helpful for people who are starting this from scratch and don't have a peer network that want to start one, whether mental health or substance or family or all three. You got to start somewhere. So what talking points do you feel like would be helpful to gain interest from decision makers and leaders in our communities that don't know about this?
That's great. So yeah, you want to talk to a judge, you're talking to the public defender's office. How are you going to present this to them?
Well, I think the best approach is transparency. You know, when I walk up to a judge, the first thing I do is I'm extremely transparent about my experience, about my lived experience, about how I've overcome it, while also highlighting the barriers. And they're aware of the barriers, right? They're judges. And so by offering that transparency, number one, we facilitate trust at the court level. And then from there, you know, they are able to speak to the peer. The peer is they're able to see that there's a bond between me and the peer that basically it's beyond changing the narrative in a courtroom. Let me put it that way. I have a peer right now that has literally suffered with addiction for many, many, many years, okay? And she's in the court system. And because our philosophy at harm reduction is to love people where they're at, the courts already understand that when I come in, that I'm gonna love them where they're at. And I am proud to say that today, she is now sober, going on 2.5 weeks, by choice, as she's navigating this system. And she's caught another charge in between this. And so those type of conversations and that level of transparency opens up the eyes of the courts and the attorneys in a way that hasn't been seen before. And so I think really, you know, being transparent and showing that love at the end of the day fixes a lot of things is really what we have to have a discussion about, even if it's in a court setting.
Beautiful.
I think for me, transparency is most important. Also, showing our peers how it works, because a lot of times they don't know how it works, and that trust is not there, and they feel like the world is against them. So meeting them where they are, walking alongside them, and allowing the court system to see the action of that peer as they make the growth or the degress, letting your peer know that you still have a liability to the court system when they can't help themselves, that we will help them help themselves by being honest to the court system and asking for that help if we need extra help, because we as peers cause no harm to our peers. Right. So the transparency is most important.
So, and as much as I'd love for you to comment on that, I don't want to miss the opportunity of one more question. So, Alexis.
Hi, I'm here for the bookmark. Just kidding. So my question is, what are the most effective ways to ensure that peers and family partner voices are not only included, but actually shape decisions in these systems, especially when systems are still very stigmatizing and resistant to power sharing?
Angie, why don't you grab that?
Mm-hmm. So earlier today, or just now, I said the family are the eyes and ears. And when I say that, I mean it 100%. Because there's so much information that a family can share with a family partner that allows us to understand a little bit more about what's going on in the home. And with that comes, the opportunity to connect families to community resources as they need it, right? So, it's just really important that we understand that the family voice is just really important, but also to champion that and allow the families to share their stories, that they can find their own voice and actually share it without fear. And so once a family partner begins to work with the family, we empower them to take charge. And this is a beautiful journey that, we get to walk with them, right? And so, once again, it's like, listen to their story, because what you're about to hear is so powerful that when they actually share it, it's almost like, wow, this is real. This is what I'm overcoming. This is what I'm working towards. And that's just like, the power of their voice.
We're right at, so we went over, best laid plans, we went over by 1 minute and 30 seconds. Those are fantastic questions and responses. So here's the thing, you probably have more questions, or you might. Sommer and Melissa are going to stay here. You only have Angie for 1 more hour, so get with Angie and Leah Kelly if you have any questions about certified family partners. If you want technical assistance, that's Chelsea. And if you want to be inspired beyond your imaginations, talk to David. So thank you all. Peers, meet me out here.